I do a lot of work helping organizations with their groups and teams, how they function together, how they work effectively, how people relate within them. And I've been looking again at some work by Johnson and Johnson, who wrote the book Joining Together, which looks a lot about group theory, group communication, group skills in the context of groups and teams. They have a great section on whether or not the environment in a given group or team is competitive or cooperative. Competitive versus cooperative. And I think it's a good distinction. They actually refer to some behavioral studies by Jack Gibb in 1961, who sort of unpacked this a little more. And he said there's a series of cooperative types of behavior and a series of competitive behaviors in groups and teams. And he outlines 6 of them and puts them in contrast. I'll touch them briefly. In the competitive environment, people are more evaluative, and in the cooperative environment, more descriptive. In other words, you get defensive in your behavior because you're constantly evaluating others, evaluating ideas. You have this sense that you are right and they are wrong. So you're constantly scrutinizing versus describing what you see, describing an idea, and letting others engage in it. Competitive environments are more about control. Because I'm right, I want to control the conversation, I want to control the tactics and strategies, versus having a problem orientation. A group that's more cooperative says, there's a problem or issue, let's unpack it, let's look at it, let's look at a variety of opinions, ideas, ways to solve it. The competitive group is strategically focused versus being open to any spontaneity at all. A cooperative group would have more of a sense of spontaneity and say, okay, let's try that, or let's discuss that, or let's put that on the table and really wrestle with it. Versus saying, no, I've got the strategy, it's right, I know where I'm going, why do we need to brainstorm right now? So you may not say that publicly, but team members who communicate that are basically saying, I'm right, you're wrong, why are we having this discussion? The competitive versus cooperative tension also comes out when we're looking at neutrality versus empathy. Gibbs says that neutrality is something that communicates indifference, and indifference creates defensiveness in people. In other words, you're acting like, I don't care. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you think. I'm neutral. I'm placid. I'm calm. I'm straight-faced. I show no empathy about you, your idea, your situation, our problem. And because of that, it makes people defensive in groups, makes them posture that way and hold on to control and that kind of thing. Also says that some people in groups see themselves as superior to others versus as equals. See, in the competitive environment, we see ourselves as above others, and we're trying to win, and we're always right. We don't see people on an equal plane in the cooperative type group environment that I think most teams should strive for. So the idea that my opinion is right, I'm better, I'm higher up the food chain, whatever it is, the sense of superiority starts to have a great impact on a group or team. And finally, they say there's a comparison between centrality or I shouldn't say centrality, it's more about certainty. There's a sense of certainty in the competitive environment. Again, I know, I have the answer, let's move ahead with my idea. Versus this sense of what they call, and it's kind of a more technical word, provincialism, in the sense of I can say, that's an interesting idea, let's talk about that. I'm open. I have a point of view, but I'm open to discussion. So I'd ask you to ask your groups and teams, are they more focused on a competitive environment, who wins, who's right, what ideas are supreme, who's in charge, or is it a more cooperative environment where, yes, we recognize the differences in roles, but we want to create an environment where there's empathy, interaction, a sense of equality, a sense of engagement. How's your team doing? How are your teams doing where you work? You might want to reflect on that today.